Hi, I'm here to do the third part of my Blues Clues character ranking, and figuring out the order was very hard for me because I have four characters left, the four leads of the franchise: Blue, Steve, Joe, and Josh, and they're all characters that mean so much to me. Whenever these characters are on screen, I have a hard time not being in a good mood. They're wonderful, they're uplifting, they're sweet. They're just mean so much to me and just bring out so much happiness into my life. So I love these characters. So it's just hard. When it comes to Blues Human Guardians, I am ranking the characters, not the actors. And I think that's an important distinction to make because two of the Guardians have the same first name as their performers. And I think that the performers are amazing. Steve Burns, Josh Delacruz, and Donovan Patton. Just wonderful, delightful, just bring out so much comforting, amazing feelings into my life. I adore them. Uh, they all deserve to be celebrated and loved, in my opinion. I am ranking them specifically based off of their characters, though. And so I want to make that clear because I think all three of them deserve lots of love and respect. So this is not really a competition of the performers, it's just of the characters. So in fourth place is Josh. I think that Josh has done a wonderful job of really keeping the franchise going very strongly. Um, Having Steve leave and then be replaced by Joe, that was very hard, but it worked. But it was risky to pass the torch down again. It could have easily gone wrong, but it didn't because Josh is a wonderful character. He is extremely passionate. He really cares about Blue, about the viewer and the other characters. Josh has lots of passionate, great enthusiasm. He's a absolutely fantastic singer, and he's just a wonderful delight to have around. I love his character. If there's anything that holds Josh back from the top three, is that a lot of the early episodes of Blues Clues and You are episodes that are based off of episodes from the original show. So a lot of the things that Josh is doing are things that Steve did. So it kind of held Josh back from being as distinct as Steve or Joe because of that. And thankfully, there are episodes that are more original and Josh got to show more of his character, but because there are a lot of episodes where he's pretty much just doing what Steve did, that did hold him back a little bit. So that's pretty much just the one thing Josh has going against him. And so if that's anything that holds him back from the others. But again, this is incredibly hard because I absolutely adore these characters so much. So Josh did get the fourth place vote, but he's an amazing character and I love him, so it's not a bad ranking for him at all. Number three is Joe. I think that Joe is extremely underrated. I love Steve so much that having anybody host Blues Clues could seem like it would be a problem. And yet, it wasn't. Steve was the one that I grew up with, but I wanted to give Joe and Josh a chance and see what Blues Clues would be like with them. And in both cases, the host worked. Joe did a great job, Josh did a great job. What Joe has ahead of Josh is that his stories tended to be more interesting for me because a lot of them felt more original rather than just repeating what Steve did. I think that Joe actually had a really interesting storyline with having him be established as Steve's younger brother, and then having Joe stay over for a while and get to interact with Steve before Steve left, I think was really good. I really like that. And after Steve left, there was definitely some sadness because of how much I love Steve. But Joe did such a great job that the series still worked. I still loved the adventures. I think that Joe has a lot of enthusiasm. He's a very playful character that just has so much fun, and he did feel distinct from Steve while still having a lot of the altruistic qualities that made Steve a great character. Joe was just lovable and just a delight to have around. So I adore Joe. He is fantastic, and he's been great whenever he's shown up in Blue's Clues and You, and he really helped Blue's Room. When Blue's Room started off without a human host, it did lead to the feeling like something was missing. It felt odd to not have one of Blue's guardians there, so when Joe started becoming a prominent part of the group, it actually really helped the show for me, helped elevate it. So Joe's been really doing a lot to help the Blue's Clues shows, and he's a great character that I love a lot, so he got the third place. Number two for me is Blue. I love Blue so much. Blue is one of my favorite cartoon characters. She's one of the most adorable, sweet characters. It's pretty much just the epitome of kindness and compassion, where she goes around wanting to help her guardians, help her friends, pretty much eager to help and show kindness to everybody she ever comes across. And that kind of thoughtfulness and sweetness that she displays is, in a way, mature, because Blue shows love to everyone. And that level of kindness and support is so enduring, and really, I think a lot of people and puppies could learn a lot from Blue. And so she's one of the most consistently enjoyable, wonderful characters to have around. She means so much to me. She brings so much happiness into my life on a regular basis, and my childhood and my current life as an adult wouldn't be as happy without her. So I love Blue so much, and she did get the second place. And number one is Steve. I grew up watching Steve, so that helps, but even ignoring that, Steve is just one of the most delightfully likable characters from a show that I've seen in such a long time. Steve is kind, he is caring, he has a very playful, lovable personality. He's just so lovable, from that great green striped shirt of his to how friendly and caring he is to the viewer, to how he looks after Blue, to how he acts in general. And Steve started things off, and I think that Joe and Josh have done a fantastic job of keeping what Steve started going on. But Steve, I think, not only did it first, I think that he did it the best, and he has brought out the most tender emotions out of me, out of any of the characters in the franchise, and with how strong of a personal connection he has made, and how after all these years he still brings so much love and delight into my life, and how he still feels like the big definitive character of the franchise, or at least right up there with Blue, without being the host of Blue's Clues for over 20 years. It's still hard to think of Blue's Clues without Steve.